Are we going to witness a dress rehearsal for either the final or the first qualifier of this year's IPL? Match number 57 sees a top of the table clash between the Lucknow Super Giants and the Gujarat Titans. The newbies, the new boys of the IPL have left everyone else behind them 57 games into the tournament. That includes the might of the Mumbai Indians, the Knight Riders and the Super Kings. There are 11 IPL titles sitting at the foot of the table, while Lucknow and Gujarat are tied at 16 points from 11 games. Winner takes all and will become the first team to officially qualify for the playoffs today. So it's a good one to look forward to on Maruti Suzuki presents ESPN Cricket Info T20 Timeout, powered by iQOO 9 5G. A top of the table clash deserves our top Indian analyst. So it's a very warm welcome to Sanjay Manjrekar. It's a good evening to him. We've given you a nice long rest. I hope you're back and fresh to go again.
Tactical move, I think, because we've seen a lot of franchises do that. Drop a player, and when the player comes back in, comes up with the goods. So I guess my performance was tapering off in that long stint that I did for you.
Better you say it than me. And therefore, it's. But there are some players who get a longer rope. And Ian Bishop is one of those players. We need our top broadcaster as well to feature on this. The top of the table clash. Bish has had enough of Vittori and he wants to talk some serious cricket now. So we brought back Manjrekar. Match 57 deserves two panelists who are either side of 57. So it's a very good evening to Ian Bishop as well. Bish, what's up?
Very good, actually. Hello, Sanjay. Good to see you again.
Yeah,
Excellent.
same here.
A toss has gone down at the MCS Stadium in Pune, and the team winning it is the Gujarat Titans. Hardik Pandya is having some fun with his good mate KL Rahul and has decided to bat first. You know, Sanjay, I'll go to Bish for this because he was carrying the flag of teams winning the toss and wanting to bat first at Pune. Finally, somebody has listened. I knew Hardik watches our show. Quietly, everybody watches our show. So, Bish, they're going to be batting first. Is that a welcome move, you think, at this ground?
Well, the numbers indicate that that's the popular move, but that's what we've been discussing all along with the teams batting first, getting the most wins. And if anyone was to do it, it would be Hardik Pandya. I think he was the first person to bat first early on in the tournament as well, having won the toss. So he's that sort of captain. But now it comes down to execution. As KL Rahul said, it's not win the toss, win the game, because you still have to execute.
Sanjay, you have an interesting analysis of that record which is lopsided in favor of teams batting first in Pune this season.
Yes, you've got to look at data carefully. It supplies you with a lot of great intelligence. But I looked at the teams that have struggled to chase down moderate targets of 170, 150, and those teams are right at the bottom of the table. So you've got to be a little skeptical about whether toss winning and batting first is almost like a ceiling, a win. And KL Rahul said he would have done the old-fashioned, the traditional method of bowling first. The other thing that struck me is Hardik Pandya said the pitch will remain the same. Sometimes you want to bat first if the pitch is showing clear signs of already being very dry and deteriorating. Then, chasing becomes a little difficult. Final point is Hardik Pandya has a great record batting first. So whether that has also influenced the decision, I have no idea.
All right, fair enough. I'd love to hear these captains after the game and see whether what they say before the game and after the game add up, because sometimes they just say anything at the top. But most times they tend to give accurate information. Today, Hardik Pandya says his changes are tactical and looking at the ground dynamics. Thank God that I have Bish and Sanjay to make sense of that. There are changes that are made. Matthew Wade returns to this team at the top of the order, and there is a debut for Ravi Srinivasan Sai Kishore, the left-arm spinner from Tamil Nadu. Yash Dayal has also returned, so it's a host of changes, which I will get Sanjay and Bish's thoughts on. But let's start, let's start with the Gujarat team. So out goes Sai Sudarshan. Interesting to see who will open with Shubman Gill. Will it be Saha or Wade, or will Shubman drop at 3? We'll find out. And there are changes on that right-hand side too. Pradeep Sangwan out, and Lockie Ferguson also missing out. Sai Kishore in. Let's get Sanjay Manjrekar's thoughts to that.
So the tactics that I read from the selections, right or wrong, time will tell, is that they've taken pace off. Lockie Ferguson, interesting that they've left him out and they've got a spinner in. So that seems like they want to not give too much of pace to the opposition. Also the fact that because Lucknow is packed with some good quality pace, Mohsin Khan has been impressive. This Chamira, Avesh Khan holder. I guess Matthew Wade has come in to tackle that aspect, being a natural sort of player of, again, good player against pace and bounce. So
all right,
that
that's
could be
nice.
a
That
tactic.
gives me some insight as to why Wade is back. Bish, Lockie Ferguson, if it's not injury related, it's a big one. They paid big money for him. He's one of their standout performers, though he has just gone off the boil in the last few games. What do you make of Gujarat's changes?
I can only say peace off. I don't fully get it. Lucky has been hot and cold, to be quite honest. He's had a good game, bad game, good game, bad game. His last game wasn't too bad at all. So, look, I want to see how it plays out. The Matthew Wade one is one that interests me greatly because he usually plays high pace very well, as we saw in the T20 World Cup final. Where he bats is going to be interesting because Shubman Gill had a score. Sahar has been playing well at the top there. So, does he slot in somewhere down the middle?
Okay, we'll find out. We'll get that answer in about 18 minutes' time when we see the Titans openers walk out. It's also a debut for Sai Kishore. Good to see him. Big part of Tamil Nadu's Syed Mushtaq Ali's success. So he's going to get his first game today. And the Lucknow Super Giants also make a change. And it's a curious one because Ravi Bishnoi, you could call him an equivalent to a retained player, an acquired player before the auction. And he has now missed out. For Karan Sharma, of course, is a multiple IPL champion. He's also had this lucky charm tag going around wherever he goes. The IPL tends to go his way, and he comes in for Ravi Bishnoi. Beg your pardon, it is not that Karan Sharma, it is the other Karan Sharma. So there is a change that's been made over here. We'll just confirm that. But Bishnoi being dropped is, I guess, one story. So he's one of the key players for Lucknow. Did you see this coming?
Yeah, before that, there are two Kuldeep Yadavs and there are two Karan Sharmas.
Yes.
So IPL's got to do something about
Yeah,
that.
maybe we should just get their photo or their Aadhaar card. Or
yeah, they're leading the media astray by having two identical names.
Yeah.
Anyway, we should have known which team they actually represented and all that, but that's fine. Yeah.
Let's
yeah,
talk
so
about
what
the
was the
dropping
question?
of Bishnoi.
What was the question?
The dropping of Bishnoi is the first story. Then who replaces him? Did you see this coming?
Ravi Bishnoi, if you look at his bowling, forget about returns. Very often, you get a good ball that's bowled in the right spot and the batter hits you out of the ground. One bad over and your figures look terrible. But Bishnoi has been a little too quick, a little too flat, and not the Bishnoi that we've seen at his best. So if the team has felt that they need somebody who can, maybe just make that bowling attack look better without Bishnoi, I think it makes for a good tactical call.
All right. It does look like this is the Uttar Pradesh-based Karan Sharma, who is playing, 23 years of age, and will be making his IPL debut then. Today, we're looking at an all-rounder, bowls a bit of off-spin, another tactical call. Bish, let me go to the same question with you. Bishnoi, whose form did seem to be tapering off, seems to have paid the price?
Bishnoi hasn't been at his time. I wouldn't say surprise is not the word I'm looking for. I didn't expect it. I thought they would have given him another run because he hasn't been at his best. He hasn't been terrible, but so that it does kind of. I'm excited to see what Karan Sharma can bring, what they expected of him in this lineup.
Okay, we will find out more as we see more of Karan Sharma. But let's look at some talking points now for these two teams. And we have a Lucknow Super Giants that are just on a high after how well they've bowled to KKR, blew them away. They're being tagged as being the red hot bowling attack of this tournament. Are they the best bowling attack? They have Mohsin Khan to thank for it because his resurgence, his re-entry into this team has just changed things around. Now, forget that game which started him off, Lucknow's first game against Gujarat. He then missed 6 or 7 games, Sanjay. Look at him since his comeback. Came in only after Avesh Khan picked up an injury. 1 for 27, 3 for 24. That outstanding 4-wicket haul against Delhi and just 1 for 6 against KKR. He's almost forced his way into the team and now there's no dropping him. Have you been impressed?
One of the many success stories when you look at, lesser known fast bowlers from India, domestic fast bowlers setting the IPL on fire, and I'm not exaggerating. There have been a few around and really impressed with them. There are a couple of dismissals that I remember from bowling, where he got the ball to seam off the pitch and induced the mistake. And there were occasions when you could see that he's got the full length ball that is pretty quick in the air. And when he hits the deck, it's a bit like Avesh Khan. The ball does something when it hits the deck. So that is what I love about him. And really happy to see all these guys make a difference in this IPL.
Yeah, Bish, you've rated him very highly as well. I'm going to just bring out the numbers that may be unique to an uncapped and new fast bowler. That's about how he bowls in phases. And perhaps that tells us something about Mohsin Khan. We tend to associate a number of these young bowlers in being very good in one phase and still learning in the others. We've spoken of Umran Malik, of Mukesh Chaudhary. This guy seems to be bowling everywhere. and not giving runs everywhere and getting wickets everywhere. Tells you something?
He's a huge talent. I haven't seen him before this. I don't know how many people have. He was at Mumbai for a while, and I was asked a question yesterday on this platform about where he is ranked in terms of, and I say the second tier of bowlers. So you have your Bumrahs, your Shamis, those guys up top, and there's a second tier. I still have Khalil Ahmed, who I think has been bowling superbly over a longer period of time and more games in this IPL ahead. But I have Mohsin right below him alongside Ashdeep because Ashdeep very good at the depth, but I think as those numbers show, Mohsin very good across the different phases. Good cutter, good pace, a heavy ball. He uses his bumper well. So I think he's an excellent prospect. But of course, the number of games he still has to continue playing well towards the end of the IPL. But excellent bowler.
Sanjay.
Yeah, 6 overs, 3 wickets in the middle phase. I think that's where he's impressive because there's nothing going for a fast bowler when he's bowling in the middle overs. And I think if you've got a medium pace who will get you wickets in the middle, brilliant.
We've spoken already early in this IPL. It's a long tournament, but we've spoken of Arshdeep Singh being such a success. Natarajan's top return, and now suddenly he's been unfortunately injured again. Where does Mohsin rank among the left-arm seamers? Bish mentions Khalil Ahmed. Where does he rank?
I think Khalil Ahmed has been around for a long time. He's seen it all, and we're seeing the best of Khalil Ahmed after many seasons. So guys who've been around for a long time. And this is just a kind of first look at Mohsin Khan, and there have been a lot who have been very impressive in the first season or a few matches and not able to keep that form. For me, Arshdeep Singh still remains right at the top. Not the same kind of impact we see this season. But these are, guys that you have, Indian cricket's got to get excited with. Kuldeep Sen, Mukesh Chaudhary, and now Mohsin Khan. Forget about the fast bowler from Sunrisers Hyderabad. He's in a completely different league. But these are all, handy bowlers that India can look at on occasions at the international level.
Bish, you want to just give me a final ranking for Mohsin? Above even Arshdeep, who we've spoken highly of, above perhaps maybe with Khalil?
I had him alongside. I can't change what I said on this platform.
Sure.
He's alongside Ashdeep in that second tier because Ashdeep has a greater body of work. Mohsin less so. But what I'm seeing across different phases is a heavy ball that Ashdeep cannot give me. It offers Mohsin the chance to get wickets up front and in the middle where you need an enforcer type bowler as Lockie Ferguson, who's not playing today, could give you a Jofra Archer at his best. When Umran Malik was firing in the first 2/3 of a tournament. I'm not sure Ashdeep can give you that, but he gives you great control and, of course, that Yorker at the end.
Yeah, excellent. Completely agree with that particular point because you can bring him in to get a wicket, to fire a batter out.
Yep. All right. Mohsin Khan being talked highly. Can he carry on this sort of form as we enter the last couple of weeks of the league phase and into the playoffs where Lucknow is certainly headed? We shall find out. Today, the challenge for him is to get some top order wickets for the Gujarat Titans, and none would be more valuable than Wriddhiman Saha. With due respect to Shubman Gill, Matthew Wade, Saha seems to have transformed the fortunes of this top order that the Titans were struggling with in the early parts of the year. They had Shubman, who blew hot earlier, has now gone a bit cold. But you look at Saha's contributions this season, that strike rate is worth noting. That fine innings against his former franchise, Sunrisers Hyderabad, striking at nearly 180. And we look at the leading strike rates this season. Who would have thought Wriddhiman Saha would be high up on that list? He's at number 4 after Warner, Prithvi Shaw and Rahul Tripathi. These are, of course, in the power play with a minimum qualification of 100 runs. Got to love Wriddhiman Saha. A lot of us thought he was done. No way he's going to start a season. Maybe you'll bring him in if things aren't working. That's exactly what's happened. Even now, Saha has the goods.
Yeah, well done. And you've got to applaud Gujarat Titans to have looked at Saha and still believe that he had something to offer, and he's offered plenty. He's had an interesting career over the years in IPL where he's played a couple of blinder kind of innings on a big stage as well. And then on occasions for Sunrisers Hyderabad looked a little like fish out of water. A very difficult batter to bowl to. He's a front foot player, loves to be on the front foot. And he hits you in the most unlikely of places. So he's a very hard man to set a field to. And nothing like a controversy before a big season begins because it just stirs up an individual player. So that's what's happened with Wriddhiman Saha.
Well, there is no fast bowler who will be bullying Saha. That we can be absolutely sure of. But Bish, the Saha story seems like the kind of player who almost has to prove every year that he's good enough to be in the 11. We tend to wash his record away before every season. And Sanjay calls him a difficult batter to bowl to. What have you made of Saha's success story, and why do you think teams can't figure this out?
It's been, look, we've seen Saha in the early days. We go back to, it's called 100, I think, in the final. I can't remember which year it
Yes,
is, whether it
Punjab,
was 40.
Punjab 2014. Yes. Yeah.
And then in recent years, when I've seen him the last couple of years, he hasn't been great. And my sort of way of describing bowling at him is to bowl a hard length where he can't, it's not short enough to pull and it's not full enough to drive, because he would often hit the splice of the bat, spoon it to mid on and mid off, because he just couldn't get underneath it and control it. But when he came in this season, he was scoring at a runner ball for the first couple of games, and I thought, this is the Saha of the last year or two. And then he just started playing a pull shot, playing a pickup shot, and really putting the bowlers off when they missed their length and scoring, giving the tempo to Gujarat Titans. So I want to credit him for the brilliant way that he's played in the last 3 or 4 games, because he really has set a tempo when Gill was struggling. But I still think a hard, heavy length on or about the off stump is still the way to go against him, and force him to hit you off that length. Don't give him the pull, don't give him the cut, force him to try to hit a little bit straighter.
And has to bat at the top of the order. There were occasions when Sunrisers had him down the order because there was no place at the top, when he had Johnny Bairstow and David Warner there. So he's opening where I think is best used. And hats off to a guy who's kept his fitness in top form, because he's getting close to 38 years old. And these are the guys who reap rewards even at this stage of his career. If you're working hard on your fitness, it's an example for a few younger players who are lacking on that front. Here's a 38-year-old, keeping himself relevant. And if you're fit, these are the kind of shots that he can still pull off. And if you lose a bit of weight, if you lose a bit of fitness, prime fitness, some of the shots that you play quite easily are not that easy to pull off. So that's where you need fitness to make those kind of things happen.
Yeah, I think we've observed during one of his better innings on our show that bowlers tend to bowl a lot of bad balls to Saha. Is there, you think, almost a sense that, all right, we'll get Saha out, and before you know it then, sit you for a couple of boundaries and he's raced away. Do bowlers take Saha lightly, you think?
Not sure, because there is some amount of respect. See, Saha is going to come and belt the ball. He's not somebody who's going to build an innings and stay there till the 15th over. So every bowler would be wary that he's going to go after me. As I said, he gets himself onto the front foot, and he's got this very stiff kind of way to hit the ball. He's not, fluid, languid in the way he bats. So there's the shot that he plays on the up over extra cover. There's the pull that Bish was talking about. You try the Yorker, he seems to be, wise enough to handle that as well, because that is a ball that you'd want to bowl to somebody who likes to get onto the front foot. So a player who's found a way to score quickly and to put the bowlers off. So maybe that's the reason why you see some loose bowling against him, because he's unorthodox.
All right, let's look at what's around Saha, shall we? Because Shubman Gill at the top of the tournament was looking like a different player. Looks like a terrific acquisition by the Titans after KKR decided not to keep him in retentions and played 2 blinders of an innings. Since then, he's had some failures. We thought, is this going to be the season for Gill to pile on those 500-600 runs? But what we're seeing is if he actually takes a little time, he tends to go better when he's faced about 20 to 30 balls. Otherwise, in previous seasons, the strike rate was an issue almost throughout. Now we're seeing the Gill that can afford to play the quintessential anchor role. Bish, we're not quite seeing the consistency, but is there a case for Shubman Gill to perhaps bat in the classic T20 anchor sort of role? I know you're not a fan of catching up, but is there an exception for some players?
Similar to the way he played, obviously not early in the season and then the day. I'm going back to his last innings where he got that 50, I think it was off 36 deliveries or something like that. He had a tendency and idiosyncrasy last season where with guarantee in the first over bowled by a pacer, he would come walking down the pitch to generate some impetus into his shots. So I don't want to see him. His role seems to be try to, as you say, just keep an end going, but he has to tick it over faster initially than he did for maybe about 1, 2, 3, 4 games before that half century. He was going too slowly, couldn't understand his role. So it's an anchor type, but he still has to have some tempo to his innings. It can't be a runner ball or under a runner ball. It has to be around that 125 mark area or 130 without taking too many risks.
Yeah, that last game against Mumbai, Sanjay, 52 of 36. Before that, 7 games without a considerable score. Is Gill facing the almost the hangover of those 2 great innings at the top of the tournament? Suddenly now he's not sure about his gears?
The way I read the season for Shubman Gill, the first couple of innings that we saw, you felt that Shubman Gill had made the transformation from being this purist who batted in the top 3 in the longer format to being an out-and-out T20 dangerous player because he had discovered the big game. And then because it's a long season, you take a few risks. The failures came along. And he's a young man who's got larger aspirations than just being an IPL sensation. And somewhere, that comes into play where you start playing conservatively. He still has the big game, but you don't see anchoring and looking after the other batters can be done by very few batters in the IPL.
Sure.
Not too many batters can actually pull it off. Or David Warner can pull it off.
Yep.
And it's a hard thing to do. Virat Kohli would do it in his prime. You have to reach that stage where you play conservatively. You lost a couple of wickets because when you look at the other batters around him, they're all, a lot of them are hit and miss kind of players. David Miller has been belting the ball around. And, when I look at Hardik Pandya there, Tewatia, Rashid Khan has batted pretty well. They don't have Sai Sudarshan anymore.
Yes.
So there is a case for somebody to anchor it. But you don't want somebody to anchor it where, you just lose steam and then you find it difficult to get back on track.
Yeah, I mean, the problem they've had is their best batter in the early parts of the IPL when they picked up those 8 wins out of 9 and before that the 5 out of 6 was Hardik Pandya, and he seems to have lost some steam. 4 innings at an average of 9.5 and a strike rate of 120. After the first 6, that saw him go at this incredible rate and brilliant consistency and whatnot. What's happened here to Mr. Pandya? Mr. Manjrekar, is he sort of content with where his team is and maybe we'll see the best of Pandya once the stage is higher again?
I'd like to offer a simplistic, obvious solution. He's not bowling anymore. So whether that's, adding pressure when he goes out to bat. Also, I'm not sure when he's had these low scores, whether the team is chasing. Because the Hardik Pandya that we know likes the ball coming onto the bat, better.
Yeah.
If there's space, he plays well. So there could be the 2 reasons. I really get very, very disturbed when Hardik Pandya cannot bowl. Because Hardik Pandya, fit Hardik Pandya would be such a great asset, not just for his team and also for India. His bowling is 3-4 overs and then bat the way he does.
He does claim, though, that he doesn't need to bowl. And if he needs to bowl, he will bowl, is what we are hearing from the Gujarat
Can't argue
Titans
with the
captain.
fact because his team is right there on
Yes.
the top. And the others are doing a pretty good job because he's got some real quality there. You've got Mohammad Shami, Alzari Joseph has been interesting. Rashid Khan, not to at his best, I think, this IPL. Lockie Ferguson is somebody that he has. Sangwan has played a couple of games. I'm very impressed with the way he's gone. And they've got Tewatia to bowl the 1 over.
Yeah, I mean, everyone who's coming in to bowl for the Titans seems to be doing a job. Now, they don't have Sangwan and Lockie today, but the fact is they can rely on pretty much everybody. Now, Riddhiman Shah and Shubman Gill have walked out, so I guess that's no surprise. Bish, Matthew Wade to play the role he plays for Australia, you think? Or do you think he'll come in at 3 ahead of Hardik Pandya? And along with that, you could tell me your first inning score for the Titans.
3 would be a nice option for him to come in, but he's that flexible type of player that he could do the Australian role. He can come in at 3 where he can get perhaps pace on the ball, mostly up front. So I think the quality will stand through to there. I just think LSG are a very good team, so I'm going to go for about a 155 batting first up there.
Interesting. We're already seeing a couple of balls in the corner of our eye. And again, there's a lot to like about Mohsin Khan. Does that influence you in any way as to how much Gujarat may get?
Yeah, to answer your question, I think Hardik Pandya loves his number 3 as a pure batter, so he might not let go of that position. Matthew Wade might bat at number 4. But yes, considering how the ball has behaved, but if the ball keeps on coming onto the bat, and KL Rahul wanted to field first. I'm going close to 160.
All right, 155, 160. Say Ian Bishop and Sanjay Manjrekar. Big thank you to them. We'll pick up this chat at halftime of this top of the table clash between Lucknow and Gujarat. Join us then on Maruti Suzuki presents ESPN Cricket 4T20 timeout powered by IQ 9 5G. Before I leave you though, here is the IQ ESPN Cricket 4 Biggest Fan Challenge. It's your chance to be on our live show and meet one of our panelists. Just answer the following in 6 words or less. If I were Rohit Sharma in a press conference, the first thing that I would say is dash, dash, dash. We know Rohit is so good, so witty in his pressers. Just like the post, comment with hashtag IQ, hashtag ESPN Cricket Info, and hashtag Biggest Fan Challenge, and share it on your social media. Maybe I'll ask Sanjay to give me his version of this at halftime. Do join us then.